All right, welcome back. And as always, we try to keep you abreast of some of the council happenings here in the area. And we have the council chairwoman, Miss Jessica Dome, and she brought along the vice chair, John Amades, with us today. Good to see both of y'all. And once again, Jessica, District 5, John, District 4. All right, so now we could talk a little business. So what's new? What's happening? So I guess, John, you're going to give us some input today too, huh?
Sure.
Jessica's spreading the wealth, isn't she? All right, so Jessica, where would you like to start? I think one thing that, especially since summer's coming, is the grass. Mm-hmm. Grass is growing fast and furious. Where are we with the grass at this point?
Yeah, so if you guys remember last year, we negotiated, well, not administration, negotiated with DOTD to take over some of the grass cutting. I know we did like Tunnel Boulevard, we did some of the major intersections and major highways and things like that. And so our guys actually took over that grass cutting, and it worked out really well. I mean, I know it worked out in the areas that I represent, and so we're actually renewing that contract. That's going to be on committee tonight. And so we think that it was a solid plan, and so we're wanting to move forward with it, and so we have to renew it for the following year because it was only a year contract.
Right. And John, let me come to you. So financially, how's that helping the parish? If I'm not mistaken, are y'all coming out ahead on this, or are you coming out? How do you break even on something?
Martin, we actually, the formulas that they use are different between the state and the parish. And unfortunately for the parish, it's taken a loss. Okay. But it's something that we felt that we needed to do. I, for one, cover the Schriever area, and the Schriever overpass is one of the items that's listed. And at least now when you're coming in from the Thibodaux area, you can see something's taken care of. Mm-hmm. But for us, this is a $10,800 contract, and it's probably costing the parish $20,000 to be able to do it. Mm-hmm. Many of the folks would like us to take over all the state roads in the parish, which back in the years, the parish used to do that, but right now we just can't see it feasibly to take that much on. So we're trying this as a pilot program, and if things work out and the state may be able to find us a little more money, it might be something we can start taking on more highways.
But isn't that something, and I'll let y'all both talk about this, yeah, you're losing a little money, but when people are coming to Terrebonne Parish and they're coming over the overpass and they see all the grass cut, or they see a big pile of grass and places not kept up, it does make an impression on people. So probably money well spent, isn't it?
I totally agree. I think beautification is very important, and there was times where that grass was probably taller than me. So I think it is really important. And going back to DOTD, they were cutting the grass 4 times a year. So as you know, in summer months, we can't only do.
You cut it 4 times in a week.
Right, exactly. And Clay Knockan has really taken up. He's the director of our solid waste, but he has really stepped up to the plate and done a really good job of making this work. I get compliments all the time on the job that they do, because he does take such pride in, making everything look beautiful. And I just think that's so important. I think that we really need, as a parish, need to focus on beautification and keeping things tidy and keeping things clean.
And one thing I'll say about Clay, he's done a knockout job, and he always answers his phone, even on Saturday and Sunday.
Even when he's on vacation, he'll answer his phone. I mean,
very true. I've called him a couple of times, and he was somewhere else.
Yeah, he's one of those guys. I mean, that's one of those workers you don't find very often, but he's a great asset to the parish, and so we're very proud of him. No doubt.
So the plan is, John, let's just close up on the grass thing. Y'all were trying this out, pilot program, and at one point everybody gets together and sort of assesses, okay, this worked, this didn't work, like any business would do, and then you move from there?
Yes, sir. That's exactly. Now, when that will take place, Clay would have to answer that for us. With Hurricane Ida and all the things that we have to do in the parish, I think it's kind of been put on the side a little bit so that we can address all the other issues. But we'll get to it at some point and see what we can do.
All right, so let's breach this. We may not finish before the first segment is over, but awarding the contract for street sign replacements post Hurricane Ida. So any idea how many not putting you on the spot, but how many street signs were damaged?
1,200,000. I don't know if they were all damaged.
You're close. Yeah, you're right.
Many were damaged, blown down. Some we don't know where they are.
Right.
And it was a big task for parish government. Of course, they had to go out and address some of them for emergency purposes, so that way EMS can find where the streets that they're looking for when they get the calls. But again, this was one of those FEMA projects where we submitted it to FEMA, got all our I's dotted, T's crossed, and we'll be able to get some reimbursement from FEMA. And this contractor can make these signs a lot faster than our roads department can and get them out there.
I was going to ask where the street signs made. Didn't it? At one point, I thought we used to get some from Angola, maybe way back. I don't know if we even make street signs today.
That would be a good question to ask. I know that they do make them internally. I'm just not sure how well suited they would be for a task this large.
Yeah, and people don't care who makes them, just get them out there, right?
That's absolutely correct.
Right, and there's been so many times that I'm driving places and I have to actually turn the GPS on the car to see where I am because we are missing so many of them. So this is going to be really good. Once again, moving forward from Hurricane Ida.
So we're talking about Hurricane Ida with street signs, but let's sort of morph into gas supply. We all know, and nobody's hiding from the fact that generators were sort of starving for gas, and we never had anything like Ida. It was a monster. So it sort of set a template for where we need to be as a parish, and we could gather information. So where do we stand on gas supply moving forward at this point? Jessica, you want to take that one, or John, whoever?
I'll take some of it.
Okay.
So in our committee meeting tonight, we're going to get an update on where they are. I believe what they're telling is that there's plenty enough gas supply, but a lot of the infrastructure was old and it wasn't able to carry what they needed into a lot of these new developments along, say, 311, for example. So since Ida, they've gone in, started some projects to upgrade the infrastructure, and that's what we're looking to get a report on this evening. We had a lot of homes where their generators, they either couldn't get them started or they had to go back out and manually start them based off of the drop in the gas pressures. And it's really, being a contractor and installing this type of equipment, I can say it's not just the supply lines, because they can always increase the pressure going out, but it's also so many different moving parts in it. And I think Ida just tipped its hand, showing us, hey, you have some deficiencies here. And while it was a nuisance, I think it's going to be good that we can address it so that should we ever have this situation again, we'll be in a better position.
And isn't this a perfect situation where we've never had Ida? Betsy wasn't an Ida. None of them were Ida. So, and we can't blame the gas companies too, because they were working on past templates. Now we get a monster that comes through and we're going, the template has changed. You got to be willing to move with the template, don't you, Jessica?
Absolutely, we have to be willing to move it. And this is something that's happening nationally. Is we're talking about community resiliency, and so us being a resilient community means that we're going to be prepared whenever a disaster happens, because we're going to have another disaster. We all know that, but we need to make sure that we have the infrastructure in place to be able to provide the services to the people who need it. And for some, gas is one of those that they absolutely can't live without, because they can't live without their generator. I mean, whether it's storing medicine or they have children or whatever that is. So we need to be resilient moving forward in our planning. And so I'll be very excited to hear this conversation. I've got some neighborhoods that I've been working on to actually have gas installed. So I would like to see where we are with that as well.
And John, let me ask you, as a council person, and Jessica too, for that matter, I'm sort of seeing y'all as chairwoman and vice chair, but y'all still are council people in your district. Did you hear a lot from your district? Are there certain areas that had less gas flow than other districts, or was it all about the same?
Well, for mine, fortunately, in the northern part of the parish, we weren't impacted as hard. So we didn't have as many trees pulling up water lines and gas lines and such. We suffered roof damage, small metal buildings blowing away, fences blowing down. We didn't have as catastrophic damage like, in other areas. So I didn't get a whole lot of complaints on the generator issue, the gas supply issue. And so we were fortunate in District 4.
Yeah, I hate to even guess on who had, because Jessica, I'm sure your district was impacted. I'm sure those Bayou
Yes,
district.
but we represent our districts. We also represent the parish, and where I really heard it the most was kind of in the 311 corridor. But I think it was just the sheer number of generators that were being used. I mean, I guess if you imagine in some areas they couldn't use a generator because of this sheer amount of destruction. So I definitely know that it impacted that area.
Yeah, and I don't pick on socioeconomic status or whatever, but some people don't have generators.
Or they couldn't afford generators, yes. And so that, I think that's why it really impacted that area, is because you had a lot of people who stayed, and you had a lot of people who were reliant on that. I have family actually that couldn't come home because of that reason, because there was no gas pressure for them to turn on their generator. So so I know that it was a problem in those areas.
And I know some of the elderly who like to cook on gas. Don't give them an electric stove. They want that gas.
They want that gas.
I don't know if it tastes different if you're cooking on gas or electric. Obviously, I eat enough food, but I mean, they want their gas.
I think it's all in the pot. I don't think electric or gas matters so much. I think it's all in the pot.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so let's jump to road maintenance projects. And let's not, I mean, and people are still getting, and we'll breach this and come back in the next segment. People are still getting confused over state and parish roads, just like state grass and parish grass. We almost have to re-educate this whole parish on which state and which parish, because y'all get a lot of blame sometimes. It's not even y'all, it's the state.
We educate people on this on a daily basis, it seems, and it is confusing to know what's state and what's parish, but I do know the parish does a really good job of taking care of their roads and taking care of themselves, and so we're very happy about that.
Let's continue on the road maintenance, because just the other day, I witnessed it for myself. Mr. Dove was in our presence. He had a few other people. A man came up. He was obviously pretty mad. He was getting on him about why he won't fix this certain road. Mr. Dove looked at him and said, "That's a state road." So roads anger people, grass angers people, but it's only fair that people should know if it's a state or a local road. But I guess parishes and states sort of go as the roads go. Is that an honest statement? If the roads are good, people are happy, aren't they?
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. And, one of the other issues with the difference, they tell us, well, just go sweep the bridge, or just go do this, or just go do that. And when we get on a state road without the state's permission or an agreement between us to do that, then we take on the liability. Mm-hmm. So that adds another cost. But, we're pretty good about the parish roads. We spend about $2 million plus a year going through doing overlay on the asphalt roads. That's what we're going to be voting on this week in this contract. And then also with the panels, the concrete panels. Mm-hmm. So our parish contractor does a really good job with the concrete. And then we offer to the asphalt companies, we let them bid on this asphalt contract. And I've been really happy with the work that's been done, because they didn't just come over and fix potholes. They actually dig it up, fix the base, and then put a good product back on it. Sometimes it's a patch instead of a complete overlay, but it still does the job.
No, I watched them, and I think I saw Tommy Boudreaux's crew doing a lot
Morrison
of work.
Boudreaux, yes.
You're right. They go all the way down, because we had a sinkhole in Mulberry for years, and it would keep sinking because they just put the overlay. He went all the way down, sort of got the nerves in it, and fixed it.
Absolutely.
So
you go down and you dig that cancer out.
That's it. Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. All right, so also let's talk about the $953,000 for the severe repetitive loss elevation program, basically home lifting. Who wants the floor now?
Well, what this is, Martin, is fortunately with the levees, we don't have as many homes flooding. But this is a program to lift those homes, people that have the flood insurance and their homes are repeatedly flooding. Now with the levee system, we've reduced that number by a lot. And this is just a grant coming in to be able to help with the lifting of those homes. Sometimes they may just decide to tear the homes down and, label it a lost cause. But this at least helps the people that don't want to leave their home, but, still want something done. Instead of having that repeated problem of flooding, then they'll be able to raise those homes up, and this money will pay for that.
What do they do? Are they sort of handpicked, or do they put their name on a list?
They apply for it.
Okay.
And then I'm not sure exactly how the process goes as to who gets it. I know when we were talking about the roads thing, we have an engineer that rates the different roads. So there may be somebody that's rating based off of the applications. I'm not exactly sure, though.
Okay, cool.
So I do know a little bit about this because my house was actually raised using some of this federal money, and it's based on the amount of times that your house has flooded. So if your house has repeatedly flooded, then you qualify for this grant money. And actually, my house and the house across the street from it, the house across the street, they decided to tear it down. So there's now a 100-year moratorium on that property that they cannot build. However, our house is raised. Now, it was due to drainage problems, which we've now improved. So I always joke that if I ever flood, we all need to move out of Terrebonne Parish because I'm 6 feet in the air down on Central Avenue downtown in Houma. But it is based on that. And so once we get that information too, we'll make sure to push all that out on our social medias, on our council pages and things like that. That way people can apply for those grants.
All right. Okay, we got a couple of minutes left in a presentation on law enforcement cameras. I guess that has to do with crime, littering, a little bit of everything.
Yeah, it does. We've got obviously, public safety is very, very important. And so, the sheriff and our new chief of police have been working with some council members to get these flock cameras installed. And so we're actually having a presentation from the company who's going to provide those cameras. And then we have to work with administration to see if we can budget them. I have been told that we will be able to budget $50,000 for the next 4 years to be able to install some of these cameras. And this is like a national company to where all these cameras are connected to each other. So like a camera here can be connected to a camera in Shreveport. And that's how they can solve a lot of crimes is, they can, if they see one thing on whether it's a teddy bear on the side of a car or whatever it is, they can be notified as to where that car is and what's happening with that vehicle. That way they can solve crime a lot easier.
Connect the dots, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, real quick, like adopt millage rates for the year?
Yeah, so every year we have to look at the millage rates when the administration prepares their budget. Any department that is getting property taxes, they look at how much money they're going to be needing, and then they adjust the rate based off of what's necessary. So it may go up, may go down. The voters vote for max, and we try to keep it below that.
All right. Well, I want to thank you. And Jessica, real quick, you got 2 daughters having birthdays?
I do. My oldest her birthday's today, and my youngest, her birthday is on Mother's Day. So happy birthday, Adelaide and Liliana.
All right. We had to get that out there. All right.
Important
Thank you.
stuff.
Thank you, Jessica. Thank you, John. We appreciate it. Thank you, the audience. We'll see you around the corner.